Hi folks, Joko here, IELTS instructor and video commenter on people's essays. I've been working on a song that's been baffling me. You don't really care. You want to get to the IELTS part, right? If you happen to play the ukulele, come join me at the Ukulele Underground Seasons of the Ukulele Contest, where I am the judge this week. I am the host of the weekly contest, and I've chosen a very difficult theme. And so I figured, well, just like with an IELTS essay, if I'm going to ask people to do something, I should do it myself. And I have to write a song about a feminist who smells like erectile dysfunction. Not an easy task. And just so you know how I go about choosing writing to be reviewed, is I always look here first. All right. Topics, weighting, feedback. Because these topics are in order. In other words, the oldest ones are down here. And I look, and sometimes I'll just look at this, and I'll say, okay, yeah, Charles. Okay, yeah, all right, yeah, Chuck, he's been on that one. Charlie, yeah, good job, Charlie. Oh, here's one. Who's it by? Ali Shariati again? Oh my God. I've reviewed 3, but at least I know him. I know his writing, and so it'll be beneficial for him, and maybe it'll be beneficial for you. I don't know yet. I haven't read it. I just read the opening paragraph, and we're gonna, in order to save time, because I gotta get back to this song, in the key of B flat. Hard to write songs, just like it's hard to write essays. Although, if you follow the structure, you can pull it off. It won't be a work of art, but let's see what we got. Okay. All right. So, okay. Here's our question. One of the consequences of improved medical care is people are living longer and life expectancy. Well, those two things mean the same thing. People living longer in life. It's not an official question, is it? Official Cambridge guide. All right, it's all right. Do you think the advantages of this development outweigh the disadvantages? Okay, good. We don't get enough of those. Okay. Now, maybe I'll do a blog on this or something, but you know. Usually the smallest problem, put it this way, if one of the problems that you're having is that you're not writing a good first line, well, that's a small problem to have. What I mean by that is that, usually essays have bigger problems, like they're not well supported, or they're not well organized, or the grammar is horrible. But I know Ali, I know that he's not going to do that. He's going to put out something that's right on the edge of a 7, and so you need to think about your first lines. And I'm going to suggest something here, because like I said, I already read this part. Advancement in healthcare has enhanced the quality of human lives, right? Language-wise, you're getting the collocation wrong. We talk about quality of life. Now, quality of life means, it means how much you like living life, put it that way, not the quantity of life or the expectancy of life, which is, people live longer, but they don't always live better, has enhanced the quality of human lives. So in your first sentence, we have this problem of an object that, first of all, you don't really talk about in the rest of the essay. Enhancing the quality of, and here's the thing, it's quality of life, not human lives. The quality of life for people living today. Sure. As a result, okay, so once again, as a result, now this refers to what came before it, namely, that the enhanced quality of life has resulted in people living longer. But that's not what it means at all. It means as a result refers to the last thing that's talked about. Instead of advancement in healthcare has done this, okay, advancement in healthcare, it has also, or better yet, advancement in healthcare it actually hasn't enhanced the quality of human life, has extended the human lifespan with people being able to live longer lives, which means greater life expectancy. What? Yeah. Living longer life expectancy. Live longer life expectancy. Try to paraphrase more. Okay, so, yeah, okay, good structure here. The drawbacks. Drawbacks and disadvantages are, I know that in IELTS lore, in IELTS talk, they're considered the same, but they're not. You know, this is more serious than drawbacks. And instead of saying a negative is more, I would say something like this. Well, I believe that, and again, the advantages are pretty obvious. People living longer should be advantageous in and of itself. People are living longer, therefore they can live longer lives. However, this essay will discuss both the benefits and drawbacks of this development. This essay will look at why I think that the advantages of longer life are not outweighed or are not more significant than the disadvantages. Okay, so here we go. Now, one of the most important. All right, good. That's better than the most important. But in one of the most, we're talking about a group, and so we need advantages. Is that people are now able to spend more time with their loved ones. Oh, why is that a good thing? Okay, they can live to see their children get married. Well, that's always happened. I mean, we're not talking about that. And even watch their grandchildren. I mean, okay. In my country, lifespan when I was born was about 73. Now it's 82. And in South Asia, it's gone from 60 to 72. If you live to 60, anyway, my point being is that parents have always been able to live long enough. Well, not the vast majority of them, not all of them, of course. A neighbor of mine, for example, lived for 95 years. Bad collocation. Lived to be 95. And used to play with her grandchild, one, in her lawn every day until she felt sick. Similarly, older people... Whoa, okay, bad connector here. You know, I've gotten on you about using, for example, for things that weren't examples for the thing you were immediately talking about before it. Similarly, similar to grandma playing in the lawn. Similar to that. That's what immediately came before it, right? She used to play with her grandchildren. And this made both of their lives richer. Both of their lives, made them happy. You do need to explain why playing with your grandchild is an advantage. You can't just leave it by itself. Well, you can, but it'd be better if you did. Similarly, okay, so again, this is not similar to anything that came before it. You could just go back to, and you want to connect the ideas in a paragraph with one another, okay? Along with spending more time with the family, or along with, or better yet, this longer life allows for the older generation to pass on to youth, to the young, to the latter generations, their experience in dealing with the struggles of life. Yeah? Connect the two. I'm sure she told her grandchild many things that her grandchild has found important to this day. Something like that. Because you had 2 points, that's fine, but they're not similar. They're very different, so don't use similarly. Regarding improving relationships and solving life problems. You want to be careful with 2 nouns. I've said this before. 2 nouns in a row, life and problems. They don't sit well together. They don't collocate. They don't like to be next to each other. The problems of life, or the challenge of, or life's. You can even say life with an apostrophe S. Life's problems. However, I believe the drawbacks are more. To what? Longer connection there. However, I believe that the disadvantages are more significant. Not just more, but more significant. As this development puts a huge financial burden on governments of countries, on governments, we don't need of countries, of governments to support their older population. True, okay. They have to impose heavy taxes and then use that money to provide welfare. They have heavy taxes regardless. Okay. Many European countries like Denmark, many European countries, like Denmark and Sweden, have a large population of retired individuals. So does Japan. So they have to take taxes from the working people to provide. It's not the only reason they take taxes. The government is always going to take taxes. So they didn't cause the taxes. You want to say something like, a larger percentage of the budget. Instead of spending it on children's schools, they're spending it on old people's homes. Furthermore, many of the elderly, end up living in nursing homes set up by governments because the government's families? Oh, no, go back. Okay. Abandoned them. No, I knew someone who visited her mother every Tuesday for years because her mother was, very, very old and was in a government home, and the children still come and visit. And they even paid a little bit. We weren't abandoning them. That's a strong word. Consequently, they spend their last days. I believe that the drawback. Wait a minute. Okay. Even though to provide for their older citizens, we want stronger language here. So working individuals are taxed heavily. And many of the old people, which ones? Article error. Many old people end up spending the last days of their lives feeling isolated and sad in their home. The last days of their last days, that's good. See, that's good collocation. Here now, you've repeated it and you've weakened it. So, again, not a lot of grammar mistakes. Vocabulary is very good, but you know what? This line at the beginning, advancement of healthcare, is that discussed at all? If I was answering this question, I would, of course, answer with my grandmother, who, of course, you don't know that, but at age 85, she got put in a home, and my family is, we have enough money. But she's put in the home because she needed health care around the clock. She couldn't get out of bed. She spent the last 10 years of her life in bed and in pain. That's not an enhancement of the quality of life. Good God. Kill me before I ever end up like that. Lying in pain the last 10 years of your life. However, let me say this. Kudos on you for choosing what most people wouldn't choose. I mean, by seeing the situation in a neutral way. It's really, most people would not be comfortable with saying that people living longer is not an advantageous thing. We want people to live longer. If either of us was 70, we would say, oh yes, people living longer is a good idea. I'm only 21. Anyway. So, you got to tighten up your references. They're theirs and stuff. Advancement. You need to, let me put it this way. Let's just take this line, enhancement, and get rid of it. And of course, you won't need to add a result. People are now able to live longer and have a greater life expectancy. Nice neutral phrase. Okay. Or set up your opinion in the first line. Whereas most people see longer lives as always being a benefit, there are some significant financial considerations which have to be made. Period. On the whole, I think that the effect on a nation's economy is negative when people live to be 90. All right, we'll go with that. So I recorded that feedback last night, and then pretty much right after it fell asleep and didn't post it. And then mulling it over, it occurs to me that there's something quite obvious going on here, Ali, that you can fix quite easily, I hope. A couple weeks ago, you wrote an essay where the example, Norway, for example, and it did not refer to what came right before it. Similarly, in this essay, you used similarly to discuss something that is not, I mentioned it's not similar. And it's kind of like I was mentioning I was working on a song. Well, I made this metaphor before, and just like in a song, in Western music, there's a relationship between this, those two notes go together, and at some point you expect the song to do something else, like go into the chorus, which on a B flat would make sense that it would be a D. And it goes together. If you went from this to it doesn't go together. But you've got to do something, right? Go into it. Your chorus, your refrain, what you're coming back to, the example at the end of the paragraph, you're doing it automatically without thinking about what it's saying. Okay? And talked before about the importance of structure. Just as in a song, an essay needs a structure. However, you should not follow that structure so strictly that you lose track of what you're saying. You're putting similarly or for example in there because that's what you're supposed to do without realizing what it's saying. And that will hurt in coherence and cohesion. You're a big hurdle here. And that's paragraph. What do you mean? Similarly. So, again, what they call first line of the essay, CNC issues. These are not language related. You've got the English. This is structure related. This is essay writing. Rich people's problems, they say.